Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
EcoBank.
The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association urges government to convene emergency stakeholder meeting to tackle no-bed syndrome.
Also this evening, President John Dramani Mahama calls on international partners to respect Ghana's LGBTQ stance, stressing policies are shaped by constitution, culture, and public consensus.
Also in this package, Base District Court clears way for Frederick Kumi, aka Abu Trika's extradition, rejecting political and entrapment claims.
For later in business, financial analyst urges competitive rates as government eyes domestic bond market return.
And on the foreign front, G7 foreign ministers demand an immediate end to attacks on civilians in the Iran war.
There's some sports news as well after that shambolic performance by the Black Stars, losing 5 goals to 1 to Austria. We're going to bring you the details of that heartbreaking experience we had before the news. Well, yeah, shall we?
Well, let's settle for the details now. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association is asking government to convene an emergency stakeholder meeting to address the no-bed syndrome. President of the association, Perpetual Oforiampofo, says the engagement must prioritize the allocation of at least 15% of the national budget towards the development of emergency health facilities across the country. Labour correspondent Daniel Opoku has more.
The issue of the no-bed syndrome continues to plague Ghana's healthcare system, persisting for years in some cases, leading to the loss of lives. According to the available data from the Ghana Health Service, the country has had only 19,907 hospital beds since 2015, a situation that continues to place significant pressure on referral health facilities. Despite this, medical doctors at the facility are once again calling on the government to increase investment in the sector. Current figures indicate that only about 4% of the national budget is allocated to health care. In response, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, GRNMA, is demanding urgent action, calling for stakeholder discussions to address the crisis. The president of the association, Perpetual Oforiampofo, has given the government a 24-hour ultimatum to convene a meeting. She also appealed to nurses not to turn patients away due to the lack of beds. Perpetual Oforiampofo emphasized the need for increased investment to resolve the situation.
It is inhumane. It is not the standard practice to nurse patients in chairs, in wheelchairs, or in plastic chairs, or in whatever chairs, to nurse patients on benches and to nurse patients on the floors. It is wrong. It is totally wrong. And it means that we have to be proactive in terms of solving the issue. And that is why in our communique we said we must address the no-bed syndrome as a public health emergency.
Perpetual Oforiampofo emphasized the need for increased government investment to resolve the situation.
Every individual, no matter the social standing of that person, must have access to emergency services. And it requires that governments invest in public health services such that we can all receive care at any point in time when we need it. And financial constraints should not even be a source of challenge for us. And we know, even when people are brought to the emergencies, the system does not provide for them to receive the total care that they need, such that even payments need to be made later on. Such that when people are sending people to the emergencies, they are worried. It means I'll have to take money out of my pocket to pay for certain things. The National Health Insurance Scheme is not working to its optimum. and we need to strengthen it to be able to cover all emergencies.
In a press statement dated March 23, 2026, the Kolebu Doctors Association emphasized that the no-bed syndrome goes beyond the mere availability of beds, noting that additional beds alone would not resolve the crisis without corresponding increases in staffing and resources.
From that, the Ghana is once again on the brink of another nationwide SIM registration exercise, and instead of the reassurance, it is stirring up frustration, skepticism, and a lot of hard questions on the minds of many. For many, it feels like a repeat of a process that they already went through, one that demanded time, patience, and trust in a system that may not have held up its end of the bargain.
Ghana's SIM card registration saga is back, and the noise around it is not just political drama. It is the echo of a system that asks millions to comply but may not have delivered what it promised. Not long ago, Ghanaians queued for hours, linking their SIM cards to their Ghana cards in a nationwide exercise meant to boost security and fight fraud. People showed up, they did their part, and millions of unregistered SIMs were eventually cut off. On the surface, it looked like a firm reset of the telecom space, but then the story started to come up. SIM cards registered with other people's details, individuals discovering numbers they never owned tied to their identity. A system that in many cases did not fully verify biometric data against the national database. So if the foundation was shaky, what exactly was being enforced? And that's where the current controversy begins. Authorities now say the database cannot be trusted and are proposing a fresh registration.
The critical thing I complained about, for which reason I said the registration in 2021 to 2023 should not have happened, was the lack of biometric verification. The lack of things that we are doing today, the use of OTPs. So basically what I am doing today is walking the talk that we spoke in opposition. So we're looking to fix all of those problems, and I believe strongly in my heart that this is going to be the very final SIM registration exercise.
This time, they say it's with tighter verification, better integration with the national ID system, and stronger safeguards against fraud.
The ultimate objective is to have a database that we can rely on, especially for law enforcement, for our common security. The more there are fraud cases that cannot be solved, the less confidence people have in using digital systems. And remember, we are gradually moving into an environment where, digital is going to be our life. So this is at the core of building confidence in the systems that we all use. And because I've had cases, and sometimes you can't find the people, even though the numbers were supposedly to be registered.
While this may sound like a fix, it also raises uncomfortable questions. If people already went through this once, why are they being asked to do it again? Was the problem the public's compliance or the system itself? And if the system failed before, what guarantees are there that this new version will be any different? While the Minister of Communication, Digital Technology and Innovation, Sam Nate George, says this time, the challenges experienced during the 2021 to 2023 SIM registration exercise will not be repeated.
We've worked with the NIA to ensure that we have a seamless real-time verification against their database, something that didn't exist the last time. We're working with the Office of Registrar of Companies to now ensure that every business SIM, we are able in real time to identify from the ORC's database who are the directors of that company, and then extrapolate the Ghana card details of the owners of that company and link to all the business SIMs that are registered.
Then there's also the issue of cost and trust. Even if the process is officially free, who ultimately pays for another nationwide exercise? And how do you convince citizens to re-engage with a system that previously left gaps big enough for fraud to slip through? At its core, this is not just about SIM cards. It's about whether large-scale digital systems in Ghana are being built right. So as the country prepares for another round of SIM card registration, the real question is not just how it will be done, but whether it will finally be done right. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
This is News 360. Now, President Mahama is asking international partners to recognize Ghana's position on LGBTQ issues, stating that public policy is grounded in legal traditions, cultural context, and consensus. He emphasized that decisions on LGBTQ plus matters are not made in isolation. They are shaped by the country's constitution and the collective views of the people.
Of LGBTQ rights are emotive, and they are not completely settled in terms of their nuances and arguments, not only in Ghana but all over the world. Even in the United States, you still have discourse on LGBTQ rights. There are still 26 states in America that have legislation that restricts LGBTQ rights. And so for a country like Ghana, our democracy is playing out in respect to what those rights are. And let me point out that the bill in Parliament is not a government bill. It's not a government-sponsored bill. It's a private member's bill. And so Parliament owns that bill for now. And what the eventual nature of the bill would be, nobody can second-guess Parliament. And I, as President, cannot anticipate, Parliament in respect of that bill. But I believe that our democracy will work out. Memoranda are being accepted from all people of all walks of life. Civil society organizations are all presenting papers to Parliament. And I believe that our representatives, the representatives of the people, will make the will of Ghanaians reflect in whatever bill eventually comes out. And so I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, and so the representatives of the people will discuss the bill, and once they pass it, then it comes up to the presidency. And the Constitution gives various pathways for dealing with it. If I object to the bill, I can send it back to the Parliament. If there are issues that need to be dealt with, we have the Council of State, which is a superior body. I can refer to the Council of State for advice. And so there are many issues that are still playing out. But I believe that our international partners should understand that public policy is grounded in our legal traditions, in our cultural context, and in our social consensus. And all those issues are playing out as we speak.
Well, let's still stay a bit on President John Dramani Mahama, because he has directed the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority to commit the majority of its irrigation schemes across the country to tomato production for now. Now, this immediate measure is aimed at making Ghana self-reliant while the government strategizes to avert possible shocks following the ban on tomato exports from Burkina Faso. George Quaining reports.
Burkinabe authorities have set March 30 as the deadline for all tomato exports to cease, but the government plans to engage the country over the import ban. With a deficit of more than 300,000 tons, the government is ramping up efforts to bridge the gap in tomato production. The Presidential Initiatives in Agriculture and Agribusiness team visited the Weja Tuba farm, where some 337 farmers are engaged in tomato production. The average land holding per farmer is 1 acre, equivalent to 0.4 hectares.
Most of our farmers go to the banks and take loans to do their farming activities with some high interest. But we hope if the government or with the Feed Ghana project can support us with a soft loan to our farmers or grant to our farmers so that we can produce a high number, or we can produce as much as we can consume in the country, because we are no more importing tomatoes from Burkina Faso.
The government is set to distribute new high-yielding tomato varieties and fertilizers to farmers as an immediate measure aimed at achieving self-sufficiency.
Our research scientists from the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, the Crop Research Institute, have developed high-yielding tomato varieties, the CRI Kwabna and the CRI Copia, which we believe could yield over 20 metric tons per hectare. These seeds is what government is committing to give to the farmers, so that the farmers can grow these seeds and multiply their production yield, so that we'll be able to meet the needs.
For now, all irrigation schemes will be streamlined for tomato production.
What the strategy entails is that in the immediate shortest possible time, we commit majority of the irrigation schemes across the country to the production of tomatoes. What we know is that most of these schemes, you produce various crops at will, because it is your decision on which crop that you have to produce to feed the market. And so mostly these schemes that could produce tomato throughout the year is not doing so. And so with this new strategy, what we are here to do is to engage the farmers, to engage you, so that you appreciate the challenges that we are going through. Then we see how government can support you, so that you commit the sites available to the production of tomatoes.
Ghana consumes 1.3 million metric tons of tomatoes annually, but produces only between 300,000 and 400,000 metric tons. George Quenin, TV3 News, Weja, Tuba.
To some legal issues now, and the Gbese District Court has cleared the way for the extradition of Frederick Kumi, popularly known as Abutrek. After hearing arguments, it rejected the claim that the case against him is politically motivated or based on entrapment. Abutrek has been given 15 days to challenge the decision in the High Court.
Lawyers for Frederick Kumi has urged the court to allow them to call witnesses to prove that the charges were political and that the evidence was obtained improperly. The prosecution, however, disagreed, saying this stage of the case is only to decide whether there is enough evidence to send him for trial, not to examine the full details of the case. In its ruling, the court sided with the prosecution. The judge stated there was no proof that the case is political, explaining that such claims must involve a political conflict or struggle, which does not apply here. The court also noted that the issue of entrapment should be addressed during the main trial, not at this stage. As a result, the court dismissed the defense's request and ordered that Abutrek be held and prepared for extradition to the United States. However, he has been given 15 days to challenge the decision in court. Lawyers for the accused say they are not satisfied with the ruling and will consider their next legal steps.
This is not a forum for entrapment, and that when he goes to US, if successfully is extradited to US, he should challenge the entrapment there. But when it comes to the political character, she stated what Exploitation says, that there should be some political upheaval in the country, and then the crime allegedly is in connection with that political upheaval, and for that matter, it will not count as an extraditable offense. But then again, the decision in Exploitation actually says that the list is not exhaustive, meaning you can't just limit yourself to what was said in court. And so we believe there are valid grounds for us to question the decision of the judge, and we will do that in due time.
Extradition processes are a bit very fast, but here we've been able to stall it and make it a bit slower to ensure his release. Hopefully, we're believing that when we file the habeas corpus, we'll be able to state our case properly and tell the court why Frederick cannot be extradited. Right now, our hopes are up. Not entirely up, but we're hoping for the best.
In a related development, the court also dismissed an application by the defense seeking the release of items seized during the investigation. Prosecutors argued that the items could form part of the evidence in the extradition process and should be surrendered along with the accused. The judge agreed, ruling that the request was premature since the substantive case has not yet been heard in the requesting country. Deborah Bamensa, TV3 News, Accra.
We'll see how this particular case plays out in the coming days. But convener of the Affirmative Action Law Coalition, Sheila Menkapremo, urged political parties to move from rhetoric to real implementation. She said this during a dialogue with political parties to discuss the Affirmative Action Act, focusing on integrating its key provisions into party regulations.
Women make up 50.2% of Ghana's population, yet their presence in leadership remains low. In the 2023 local elections, women's representation dropped below 4%. Currently, in Ghana's 9th parliament, only 41 women hold seats out of 276. On the Council of State, just 8 women serve among 31 members. Convener of the Affirmative Action Law Coalition, Sheila Menkapremo, is calling on political parties to elevate women into top leadership roles beyond the traditional women's organizer positions.
2026 is the first year of measurement where, depending on where you started from as your baseline from 2024, by 2026 you should have reached 30%. We wish, from the numbers we are collecting, we wish that it would have been better. There are some institutions like the judiciary, they have done well, they've already crossed the threshold. Executive arm of governments, they're also coming up a bit. So the legislature is not doing very well. But what the political parties will do in terms of seeing to implementation will determine what the picture will look like in 2028 when we have our next elections.
Parties pledged to achieve 30% representation of women in leadership.
This idea about the fact that culturally we haven't been encouraging women needs to go away. We need to understand that women themselves must also take up the mantle. I don't see any specific cultural barrier that stops a woman from taking a position. Previously, maybe yes, in so many years gone past, we wouldn't see women in specific positions. But today you see it all around. So what stops you as a woman from moving forward or from reaching out and saying, I can also do this?
When people are making decisions, we are not there. You see all men making decisions, women are not there. How can you sit there and decide for me as a woman? So sometimes we need ourselves to pull up. So going forward, we are taking all this information to our political parties, to our leaders, to let them know that no, this thing has to come on. This law has to be passed for every woman to get to the position they want to get. No intimidation, no anything, for us to bring out what is in us.
The legislative instrument has been finalized and laid before Parliament, awaiting the mandatory 21-day period. Passed in July 2024 and assented to in September of the same year, the Affirmative Action Act 2024 mandates at least 30% female representation in decision-making roles by 2026, with the goal of reaching full gender parity by 2034.
Now, the Nationwide Medical Insurance has embarked on a nationwide campaign to deepen public understanding of health insurance and address long-standing misconceptions. Management says the initiative forms part of efforts to bring insurance closer to the people while introducing their new packages designed to meet the healthcare financing needs of workers and their families.
Nationwide Medical Insurance has over the years positioned itself as a key player in Ghana's private health insurance space. Through a network of accredited healthcare providers across the country, the company continues to offer clients competitive health insurance packages that are custom and tailored to meet their needs. As part of its ongoing public education drive, the company took to the streets with a flyer distribution campaign, engaging directly with the public to address misconceptions about health insurance and highlight the benefit of being covered. Rita Tando is the acting chief marketing officer for Nationwide Medical Insurance.
At Nationwide, we always say that your health is worth protecting. And so if people know the options available to them, if people know the value of health insurance, then they will take steps to ensure their health, and this will help us in achieving our goal when it comes to universal health coverage.
Touching on the company's latest packages, she explained that their commitment towards improving client experience and ensuring that more Ghanaians can afford and benefit from quality healthcare services remains absolute.
Nationwide has also introduced a retail product. We have the My Health and then the Workers Plan. My Health has been specially designed for individuals and families, and it provides a comprehensive health cover, and then you are assured that your health issues will be catered for by the insurance company, which is Nationwide Medical Insurance. For Workers Plan, it's been specially designed for workers. It's very affordable. So you call our toll-free line, that's 0800 222 222. There are agents who will take you through the sales process.
Management maintains that the company remains committed to providing accessible, reliable, and comprehensive health coverage for all.
So, to commemorate World Water Day 2026, Nutri-Foods Ghana Limited has commissioned a wastewater treatment plant at its Tasty Tom factory here in Accra. The initiative is expected to save a minimum of 8,000 liters of water daily. The saved amount, equivalent to about 16,000 bags of sachet water, will be reused for gardening and green belt development.
NutriFood Ghana Limited, a joint venture between Olam International and Sanyo Foods, reaffirmed its commitment to environmental sustainability with the commissioning of an upgraded wastewater treatment plant at its culinary manufacturing facility in Tema. Business and country head of NutriFoods Ghana, Jay Anjaria, says the investment reflects the company's contribution to responsible industrial water management in Ghana.
Today's event is not about awareness, it is about action. With this installation, we will save 8,000 liters. You know how many? What is 8,000 liters? Almost 40,000 water sachets every day. So 40,000 sachets worth of water we will save every day. So that is the impact it's going to have. So with this technology, we can be positioned well to meet the requirements of the EPA.
Country Director of Alumichem Ghana Limited, Isaac Mensah Boansi, highlighted the importance of sustainable water treatment solutions in industrial operations.
Globally, we are witnessing increasing pollution of both surface water and groundwater aquifers due to human activities. It is also why the example set by NutriFoods Ghana Limited in translating its commitment to environmental sustainability into tangible action is worthy of recognition.
Deputy Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources called on other industries to emulate NutriFoods' example.
This is a call to industries to be a bit more intentional about treating their effluent, because we are all very environmentally conscious these days, and any factory that does that and has the principle of sustainability and environmental consciousness, I think, is one that is worth mentioning. And like I said, the Embassy of Denmark and all the other partners, Alumichem and all the other partners who have taken part in this, I really commend them.
The treatment system was designed and supplied by Alumichem, a Danish company with expertise in water and wastewater treatment solutions.
Thank you for staying with us here on News 360. We'll be back with more news.
I am Menu Afol. Financial and tax analyst Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji is calling on governments to offer highly competitive interest rates as it prepares to re-enter the domestic bond market, warning that a successful return hinges entirely on investor appetite and market-realistic pricing. Government is set to re-enter the domestic bond market with a 7-year CD-denominated issuance on March 30, 2026, marking its first such move since the 2023 debt restructuring program.
This will be the first CD bond issuance since 2022, following restrictions imposed under the domestic debt exchange program in 2023, which halted new bond issuance after the country's debt default. Government is expected to announce the coupon rate on April 1, with settlement scheduled for April 7, 2026.
We expect some level of readjustment in terms of the price, and so once that is done, a lot more activity will go into the bonds that the government will issue. We also expect the rates to hover around the DDP bond rate. Once that is done, it will serve as an incentive to investors, and so we are keenly watching the market to see how the reintroduction of the bonds into the market will have a general impact on the Ghana's capital markets.
Investors will be required to bid a minimum of 50,000 cedis, with the offer open to both resident and non-resident participants. Proceeds from the bond are expected to support financing of projects captured in the 2026 budget. 6 institutions, Absa Bank Ghana, Cal Bank PLC, FinCap Securities, GCB Bank PLC, One Africa Securities, and the Stanbic Bank Ghana have been appointed as bond market specialists for the issuance. Government says the move is aimed at rebuilding a domestic funding program, managing liquidity, refinancing maturing debts, and restoring confidence in the bond market. The Finance Ministry also notes that participation will not be limited to pension funds, insurance firms, and asset managers, signaling a broader investor inclusion strategy.
News tonight, former CEO of Dalex Finance, Ken Thompson, says indigenous businesses must play a leading role in Ghana's development. He says while foreign investment remains important for economic growth, long-term development that preserves wealth for citizens must be driven by Ghanaians. Speaking at the Media General Economic Dialogue, Thompson added that although foreign investors can make significant contributions, local ownership is key to ensuring that the benefits of growth are retained within the country.
Against foreign investments, and I welcome foreign investment. No country has developed without foreign direct investment. No country in the world. But the truth is, foreigners will not develop this country. Foreigners have not developed any country. And any country where foreigners have developed, they've stayed and taken all the resources. Patriotism is the bonus. They'll come and employ us, repatriate their profits and dividends, and they are perfectly entitled to do so. I don't blame them. I remember during COVID, I sat in my office and heard about all the incentives foreign companies were giving to their locals in their countries, especially the financial institutions. They had interest rate moratoriums, they had subsidized loans, extra. In Ghana, we got nothing. This is not their home. We're an outpost, we're a market, and we're on our own. And it's not malice, it's business.
We'll end the segment with updates from the forex and commodities markets. I am Minu Afo.
sports segment is brought to you by Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Oreku Ampofo. Let's head straight to it, where Austria delivered a commanding performance to defeat Ghana by 5-1 in an international friendly, extending their impressive home record and piling more pressure on Otoado's Black Stars during the international break. A first half penalty goal by Sabitzer, followed by 4 second-half goals, sealed a dominant win over a toothless Black Stars side. The loss marks Ghana's first ever 5-goal concession since 2007, when they faced Saudi Arabia. The Black Stars would have to rejuvenate and regalvanize themselves in the next 3 days, because they make the short trip to Stuttgart to face Germany on Monday evening.
For Austria, Stefan Posch.
Well, let's now hear from the head coach of the Black Stars, Otoado, who takes full responsibility for the 5-1 defeat against Austria.
Difficult evening. Can't really remember us losing like this. Really disappointing at the end. I think we had a good first half where we had some really good situation where we could have scored. We know that they're pressing high, and once we win the ball and we try to get to a striker, Prince Edu, who's fast, will create situations like we had. And out of, I don't think, 3 or 4 situations, we at least should have scored 1. I think if we're more intelligent in certain situations, I know this was difficult decisions. I think 1 or 2 could have been a penalty after reviewing it. But this is football, and then.
And so you can get more reactions on the game on our social media handles at 3Sports. GH, my name is Oreku Ampofo.
Still, Misaka.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by GTP Lifestyle and Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
Well, good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, Ghanaian Afro dancehall superstar Stonebwoy is taking his globally celebrated BIMFest to new heights, announcing its official debut in the United Kingdom in 2026. Now, the move marks a major milestone for the award-winning artist as he continues to expand his influence beyond Africa. Scheduled for Saturday, August 15, 2026, the event will be held at the iconic OVO Arena Wembley in London, a venue with a seating capacity of 12,500. Stonebwoy is poised to become one of the first Ghanaian artists to headline the prestigious arena, further cementing his place on the global stage. BIMFest, which has grown into one of Ghana's most anticipated annual music festivals, is known for its electrifying performances and celebration of African music and culture. Now, its expansion to the UK reflects the increasing global demand for Afrobeats, reggae, and dancehall sounds. And now, before we go, a quick reminder that tomorrow at the Legon City Mall at 11 a.m. sharp, we have the Gobe Festival that is happening, powered by 3FM and TV3. It's going to be a very beautiful one. And so please do make sure to come through. 28th March, that's tomorrow at 11 a.m. Legon City Mall is the place to be. Well, that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you very much, Noella. It's now time to bring you news from other parts of the world. And G7 foreign ministers have demanded an immediate end to attacks on civilians in the Iran war. Ministers also said it's an absolute necessity to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expects the United States to end its operation in Iran in weeks, not months. He said this after a meeting with G7 foreign ministers. Meanwhile, Israel's defense minister has warned strikes on Iran will intensify after Israel earlier said it had targeted a major missile and sea mining production facility. And the Iranian news agency also indicated that a major steel company in Iran, Mubarak Steel, had been attacked in Isfahan as well as Kazakhstan Steel in the southwest. Really grateful for your company in this edition of News 360. There's more news when you log on to 3news.com. I'm Ben Abubeidou-Lansa.
And I am Alfred Okanse. Join the Ghana Tonight team at 10 p.m. for some more of this and a conversation on the Black Stars as well. Well, it's a heartbreak.
Heartbreak indeed. Have a good evening.